The Chosen has a lot of great villains that we love to hate, and some that we may just hate. But in today's video, I'm going to be ranking all of the villains, all of the main villains in The Chosen that we've seen in the first 3 seasons, since now Season 3 is fully complete and you can check it out on the Chosen app, link down below in the description. So let's stop and rank all of the major villains from The Chosen. Hello everybody, my name is Hollingsworth, and as always, welcome back to Against the Current and The Chosen YouTube channel, where today we're going to be ranking, as I said before, all of the villains that we've seen so far in The Chosen, the first 3 seasons of the show. Now, rankings can be a bit tough, especially when we're sitting here, season by season, ranking, this is the first season I've done it for, but season by season ranking, the characters or the plot lines and stuff, since it's a very specific type of show, one about the Bible and one that's specifically, shows will have like a season run, they have a season storyline, and then it kind of like, kind of caps off, and The Chosen is really more continuous, and each season doesn't really have like a definitive storyline conclusion, so all the character arcs are still growing and changing throughout every season, so it's kind of hard to rank characters before the entire show is out. But hey, I mean, it's my YouTube channel and you guys watch my videos, so I get to do what I want. And what we're going to be doing today is ranking all of the villains from The Chosen from the first 3 seasons. And I picked 5 villains because if I ranked every little Pharisee that Jesus encountered and got slightly mad at him, then we'd be here all day. So I just picked the main villains from the show from the first 3 seasons. And with that all out of the way, let's begin with the ranking with number 5. And coming in at number 5 is Yusuf. Now, Yusuf is a very interesting character. The only reason he's lowest on this list is because he hasn't really had that change yet, which again we'll see probably in later seasons. He'll probably maybe come around. We actually don't know yet, but the only reason he's the lowest on this list is just because we're still waiting on his story to continue. So his story is still in pretty early stages. But season 3 we get to see a lot more of him, and his character is certainly developing as he's being more curious and interested in Jesus. And he's had a few encounters face to face with him. And he's really like Shmuel, kind of. He's starting to question his position as a Pharisee, which he's just a fun character. He's very interesting, and the actor who plays him, I think his name is Joseph, something. I forget his name, but the actor who plays him does a great job as Yusuf. Just kind of this guy who's like most of the other Pharisees. He's kind of reserved, and he's just kind of high on his high horse and high and mighty, and then this Jesus guy comes along and causes him to reevaluate everything he believes and sort of question his belief system entirely and his religion. But it's very interesting to see that change in him to where he's kind of growing and learning and changing. And again, we're in kind of the early stages at this point in the show, but as we get into later seasons, he'll probably come around full circle and kind of get to know Jesus a little bit better. But Yusuf, such a fun character, and definitely one that I love to see. And he's kind of he's not necessarily a villain. I mean, he probably soon in the show he's gonna have to be taken off of the list because he may not be a villain anymore. Because if you're wondering why Nicodemus isn't on this list, is because he's not really a villain. He's kind of helping Jesus more than he's hurting Jesus at this point. Same thing with Gaius. Gaius is not going to be on this list because he's not a villain anymore. He's an ally to Jesus and his ministry. So there's no need for him to be on the villains list. But coming in at number 4 is actually Shmuel. Now, Shmuel is an interesting character, which I mean, every character in The Chosen is an interesting character because they're so well written and they're very complex and very, developed and interesting. So all of them are interesting. But Shmuel is interesting because he's a character who really drifts more into just hate category for me. Not as much love to hate. I'm not like, oh, Shmuel, you're so pleasantly evil. I'm just like, what are you doing? Why are you the way you are? Why are you so just you? So he's one. That's why he's second to last on the list. But he's really, as we see in season 3, he really has a moment where he's struggling with what he believes and what to do with Jesus, and Jesus is really changing his kind of way of thinking about life and his religion and everything about his identity. And he confronts Jesus about this in a really cool scene, and Jesus and him go up to pray, and there's an interesting plot point there that we never see the resolution of, and I'll be excited to see what happens in season 4 with that plot point. But him and Jesus go up to pray on the mountain after he has a talk about he's having inner turmoil and he's just really wrestling with himself, and his entire belief system is being turned upside down, which is what Jesus did to many people at the time. including his own disciples, kind of. But it's just Shmuel just has a lot of layers to them, and we're discovering more and more of those layers because he also has this ambition, this very dark ambition, like Yusuf or Shmuel is really kind of showing the dark side of ambition, to where he's wanting to be the best in everything that he does, and he's really striving to be the greatest and the most well known in a lot of different areas, to where he's kind of pushing away his humanity in a way, and just kind of pushing away rational thinking, and even like being in tune with his own feelings and beliefs and emotions, and just trying to, I want to be the best, I want to do this and get to the top and just have everybody like me, and build like a legacy, and just really representing the dark side of ambition, which can be very dangerous nowadays. And just a really cool character, really cool ideas explored in his character. And the actor who plays him, Sean Sharma, I think that's how you say it, does a very good job. Coming in at number 3 is Atticus. Now, Atticus is an antagonistic force towards Jesus in a way, and he is very much, but he does kind of linger in the back, and he's a very mysterious character. We don't know a whole lot about him. We know that he's, I guess, of Roman, faction. But we don't know, not very many of the characters even know a whole lot about him, or what his purpose is, where he comes from, what his goal is. But he's very interested in this Jesus fellow. And he's just kind of watching from a distance, following him along, watching him and his disciples. And as Dallas said in the interview that I did, which if you want to listen to my full interview with Dallas Jenkins, the creator, director, writer, executive producer, a lot of other stuff with The Chosen, you can listen to that down below in the description. And I asked him about what Atticus saw, because there was a scene in season 3 in the finale where he was watching the disciples go out in their boat in the storm where Jesus walks on water, and he said that Atticus did not see Jesus walk on the water because he just kind of walked away from the scene. So it'll be interesting to see what Atticus saw in that scenario and what he's thinking, but he said that will be explored in season 4. So it'll be interesting to see how much that storyline develops and what Atticus is thinking. And he's really kind of being a mentor to Pontius Pilate, who is a very important character in Jesus' ministry and ultimately his death. And Atticus is kind of mentoring Pilate because in the show he's portrayed as a younger guy. And Atticus is just a very fun character. And he's always snacking, always eating. He's a very memorable, likable character. And it's always a pleasure when Atticus is on screen. Coming in at number 2 is the one and only Quintus. Now, some of you might be surprised to learn who's in the number 1 spot. But before we get into Quintus and talk about that, then if you've been enjoying these ranking videos that I've been doing, then be sure to check out the playlist that has all my ranking videos up there. If you want to watch all my interview clips with Dallas Jenkins, again, the creator, writer, executive producer, director of The Chosen, then you can check that out. All of those interview clips right up there as well, all that good stuff. And be sure to subscribe to Against the Current and The Chosen YouTube channel if you haven't already, and turn on all notifications because you're going to want to be notified whenever I post a new video about The Chosen seasons 4, 5, 6, and 7. As the seasons come out, I'm going to be doing a weekly breakdown coverage of filming, all that great stuff. So you're going to want to stay notified for that. And with that said, Quintus is obviously one of the most popular characters in The Chosen. He's a fan favorite because he's so well, I was gonna say bubbly, but that's not the right word, I don't think. He's just got a very distinct personality. He's very ruthless and dry and sarcastic and just kind of he's a love to hate category character because he's the actor who plays him, Brandon Potter, who does a great job as Quintus, gives him a lot of personality and flair. He's very menacing. You feel the threat and the danger that Quintus poses, but he also has. It seems like it's almost coming out of a place of anxiety and severe, fear for the higher ups, because as we see in season 3, he's very deathly afraid of Pontius Pilate and his superiors. So he's kind of being ruthless in a way, but it's probably coming out of a place to mask his own insecurities and how he feels about certain things. Just the kill this person, kill that person, I don't care, which is how the Romans very much were at that time. But it's also because he's scared that if he doesn't, he will have the same done to him. The old kill. So always just an interesting character to me. Quintus is a very likable character, because he's a villain and he does, villain things, but he's just got such a distinct personality and one that's always fun to watch on screen. And he has a lot of great interaction with Gaius and Matthew and ultimately Jesus at one point in season 2, episode 7. where they have very interesting interaction. But he's such a fun character, and he just has a lot of great dialogue, written very well, and just again, like all the other characters in The Chosen, has a lot of layers and is very complex. Now, before I unveil my number one spot for who my favorite villain in the Chosen TV series is, be sure to leave your ranking of the Chosen villains down below in the comments. I'd love to hear each and every single one of you guys' rankings for the villains in the Chosen seasons 1 through 3. My list isn't the definitive list of what it should be. These are just my opinions, and if you don't agree, that's cool. That's we're all supposed to be different. Get used to different. So. If you have your own opinion and if you disagree, then be sure to let me know down below in the comments. But with that said, my number one favorite villain from The Chosen, seasons 1 through 3, is actually Pontius Pilate. Now, really all these rankings are subject to change in the future as more seasons come out, but Pontius Pilate at the moment is my favorite villain in The Chosen, and that's just because he was just introduced in such an interesting way. He was introduced in a scene where his wife is having a dream about Jesus, which is setting up his plotline closer to his crucifixion. But he is just such a fun personality. Definitely a love to hate character. As soon as he came on screen, he really stuck with me instantly, and I was just like, I really like that character. I really resonate with him. He's he's sarcastic, he's dry, but he has a vulnerable side to him that we see when he's sitting with Atticus, to where he's unsure, and Atticus is kind of helping him. But he has a lot to learn, and obviously he makes a couple mistakes as we get closer to Jesus' crucifixion. But he's just such a fun character. I think I say that a lot this video. But he's such a fun character. He's very cool, and the actor who plays him, Andrew James Allen, really makes him have a distinct personality that just sticks in your brain. You remember him. I remember Pilate. Like he doesn't just go away, and you're just like, well, who was that guy again? It's. You remember Pilate, he sticks in your brain, and you go, and at least for me, it made me go, I want to see more of that guy. That guy's interesting. And I can't wait to see how Pilate's character develops and just how interesting of a character he's going to be as seasons 4 through 6 progress. Or maybe, seasons 4 through 6 progress. So there you have it. There's my ranking of the Chosen villains, all the 5 that I picked to rank. Again, be sure to let me know your ranking down below in the comments section, and be sure to subscribe to Against the Current The Chosen YouTube channel if you haven't already, and turn on notifications, and check out all my other videos and other rankings of The Chosen. I've ranked the Disciples, I've ranked the episodes thus far. I'm going to do a few more in the coming days, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Binge Jesus. I was